exposing all of Beyoncé's half-siblings you didn't know existed. When you hear the name Beyoncé, images of sold-out world tours, groundbreaking albums, and iconic moments in pop culture likely come to mind. Known for her immense talent, fierce work ethic, and carefully crafted public image, Beyoncé has kept much of her personal life guarded. While the world is well aware of her full sister, Solange Knowles, and her superstar career, not many know that Beyoncé actually has other siblings. Specifically, half-siblings born from her father's affairs. This side of Beyoncé's family history has often been swept under the rug, partly because of how private she is, but also due to the controversial circumstances surrounding these children's births. Let's take a deep dive into who Beyoncé's half-siblings are, how they came into the spotlight, and the complicated web of family drama that followed. The matriarch and patriarch, Tina and Matthew Knowles. To understand how these half-siblings came to be, we first need to look at Beyoncé's parents, Tina Knowles and Matthew Knowles. Matthew and Tina were married in 1980 and had two daughters, Beyoncé, born 1981, and Solange, born 1986. Matthew was instrumental in shaping Destiny's Child and launching Beyoncé's career, serving as her manager for many years. Tina was also heavily involved, designing costumes and supporting her daughters behind the scenes. But while the family appeared tight-knit and successful, trouble was brewing. In the late 2000s, rumors began surfacing about Matthew Knowles' extramarital affairs, and eventually those rumors were confirmed in a very public way. Nixon Knowles, the first revealed half-brother. In 2010, Matthew Knowles was embroiled in a paternity scandal that led to the birth of Nixon Knowles, his son with Alexandra Wright, an actress and former executive assistant. The affair allegedly began while Matthew was still married to Tina. Birth and legal battles. Alexandra gave birth to Nixon in February 2010. Shortly afterward, she filed a paternity suit against Matthew Knowles. A DNA test confirmed that Matthew was indeed Nixon's father. This revelation was devastating for Tina Knowles and eventually led to the couple's divorce in 2011, ending a 31-year marriage. Matthew initially paid child support, but by 2014, Alexandra claimed he had fallen behind. At one point, he reportedly owed over $24,000, 0 cents in unpaid child support, and Wright alleged that she and Nixon had to move into temporary housing due to financial instability. Relationship with Beyoncé. Despite sharing the same father, Nixon has never been photographed with Beyoncé, and there is no public acknowledgement of their relationship. Alexandra has expressed that she hopes her son could one day have a relationship with his famous sister, but that door has remained closed, at least publicly. Coy Knowles, a hidden daughter. Later that same year, another woman, Takoya Branscombe, came forward claiming that her daughter, Coy Knowles, was also fathered by Matthew Knowles. Branscombe was a former lingerie model and real estate agent based in Houston. The DNA test and fallout. In 2014, a court-ordered DNA test once again confirmed that Matthew was Coy's biological father. At the time, Beyoncé had already severed professional ties with her father. She had fired him as her manager in 2011. But this new revelation added more fuel to the public perception of him as scandal-ridden and irresponsible. Branscombe also filed for child support and health insurance coverage for Coy, both of which were granted by the court. Coy's aspiring music career. Interestingly, Coy appears to have inherited some musical talent. Videos of her singing and performing have surfaced online, and her mother has stated that Coy is a bright, creative child with ambitions in the entertainment industry. Some even speculate that she could follow in Beyoncé's footsteps, though the comparisons are certainly a heavy burden for a child to carry. Like Nixon, Coy has no known relationship with Beyoncé. She has never appeared at family events or public functions associated with the Knowles family. A family torn by scandal. The circumstances surrounding the births of Nixon and Coy were marked by infidelity, legal drama, and financial disputes, making the idea of a blended family difficult for the Knowles clan. Beyoncé and Matthew's fallout. Beyoncé's professional relationship with her father ended in 2011. But rumors suggest the emotional strain between them began even earlier, possibly due to his affairs. Though she has occasionally spoken fondly of him in public, especially in recent years, it's clear that the two went through a rough patch. She has also never commented on her half-siblings. This silence could be interpreted in various ways, as a desire to avoid the spotlight on a sensitive issue, or simply as a boundary she has chosen to maintain. Public versus private persona. Part of what makes Beyoncé so admired is her ability to control her narrative. She rarely grants interviews and only shows fans what she wants them to see. This strategy has worked to her advantage, allowing her to remain an enigmatic figure while still dominating the entertainment industry. But this curated image also means that the messy details of her family life, including her half-siblings, don't fit neatly into the story of success, empowerment, and legacy that she portrays. The pressure of being related to Beyoncé. Imagine being a child whose father is Matthew Knowles, and whose half-sister is one of the most famous people on earth. For Nixon and Coy, this is their reality. While their mothers have occasionally spoken out, both children have largely been kept out of the spotlight. Still, the weight of that connection is undeniable. Whether it's expectations from others, media curiosity, or internal questions of identity, growing up in Beyoncé's shadow is no small feat. Mental and emotional toll. Psychologists often note that children born into scandalous situations may face identity issues, especially when they're tied to public figures. Add to that the lack of a relationship with your high-profile sibling, and you can imagine how complicated things might be emotionally. Matthew Knowles today, a changed man? In recent years, Matthew Knowles has focused on health advocacy. He was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019, writing, teaching, and business ventures. He claims to have turned a new leaf and occasionally speaks about parenting and his daughters in interviews. Still, he has never denied his paternity of Nixon or Coy, and in some instances, he's even mentioned the need for their futures to be secure. Whether he has worked to privately maintain relationships with them is unclear, but publicly, Matthew remains somewhat distant from his youngest children. Why Beyoncé's silence matters. Beyoncé's lack of public acknowledgement of Nixon and Coy has sparked debates. Is it fair to expect her to embrace half-siblings she barely knows, especially when they were born from affairs that hurt her family? Or does her position as a global role model carry a responsibility for inclusion? The line between public persona and personal boundaries. At the end of the day, Beyoncé is human. She may have very real emotional reasons for keeping her distance, ones the public may never understand. Some argue that it's a form of self-protection, while others feel she could use her influence to set an example of forgiveness and unity. The legacy of the Knowles family. The Knowles family is a complex portrait of success, betrayal, resilience, and reinvention. From the powerhouse sisters Beyoncé and Solange to the quieter figures like Nixon and Coy, their story touches on deep societal issues: fame, fatherhood, privacy, and what it means to be family. As Nixon and Coy grow older, it remains to be seen whether they will forge their own identities separate from their last name, or whether the world will always see them through the lens of Beyoncé's spotlight. Final thoughts. Fame, family, and the price of silence. Beyoncé may never publicly embrace her half-siblings, and that's her choice. But as the years go by, and as Nixon and Coy find their voices, the narrative may evolve. For now, their existence remains a quiet footnote in the otherwise glamorous saga of the Knowles dynasty. A reminder that even in the world of glitz and Grammy Awards, real-life messiness doesn't just disappear. It lingers in the shadows, waiting for its moment in the sun.